Hello, and welcome to Soul Play. On today's episode, I am thrilled to welcome an innovative and transformative meditation teacher. Our guest today is Nishan Disanayake. With 25 years of experience in meditation, Buddhist studies, and later somatic trauma therapy, Nishan helps individuals to release stress, anxiety, and dullness, to connect to the earth and grow into embodied aliveness. As a land and forest rights advocate in Laos for 6 years, Nishan experienced how human emotions are a powerful factor in creating successful actions for change. From these experiences, he created the Kind Awareness online community, a space that offers authentic connection and support on one's journey to happiness, embodied aliveness, and uplifting action to take care of the earth. In this enlightening conversation, we discuss the profound connection between awareness, the body, and finding peace in daily life. Nishan emphasizes the importance of acknowledging and feeling our emotions, offering practical exercises to ground ourselves in the present moment. The discussion explores the healing power of nature, the elements, and community. Nishan encourages listeners to take small steps towards well-being, reassuring them that they already have everything they need to experience peace. You may notice the sound of nature and the fire crackling, as this episode was recorded outdoors. Without further ado, I welcome Nishan Disanayake. Nishan, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sarah.
So happy to have you on. At the top of the show, I would have already introduced you, but I'd really like you to take some time and just let the listeners know who you are, why you're here.
Yeah. I'm a teacher of meditation and inner awareness as a way to let go of anxiety and anger, depression, fear, sadness, and open your heart into love and aliveness. This is what I do in classes, in personal sessions, in this online course and this online community. It's just helping people to be in their body, to feel their feelings, to feel safe enough to let go of those tough emotions and open their heart.
Beautiful. And how did this come to you? Do you resonate with these tough emotions that you speak of?
Yeah. Oh, how did this come to me? Wow, quite a journey.
How much time we got, yeah?
I had a lot of trauma in my childhood. Mm-hmm. And a lot of meditation. I came into meditation when I was quite young, as a teenager. And I had a lot of bliss in my meditation. And I had about 15 years of going very deep into meditation practice, where I didn't realize that even though I was going very deep and I was experiencing beautiful states of love and concentration, it was all dissociated. My deeper underlying trauma was creating this disconnect from my body. I was actually afraid of feeling my physical body, and so I was meditating, entering these higher or outside of the body states, loving it, but not realizing that my normal daily life was actually, there was happiness, but there was also just disconnect, fear of people, fear of my physical body and the physical reality. For a long time, many people would have seen me as this happy guy, but kind of not so grounded. This is even into the times that I was teaching, Yeah, I started practicing 1998. I started teaching in 2001 the first time. No, it was 2003, sorry. And it was a beautiful journey. I was teaching very classic traditional Theravada Buddhist meditation, which I think is amazing. I love it, but it really didn't focus on grounding. And it was only in 2016, after quite a journey, other careers, electrical engineer, human rights activist, where I had a burnout, and I realized, even though I had been spending years where it was I was meditating on such bliss, I was in a state of love for a few hours each day, just wow, so bliss, love. And then I would go out that day and I would do my activism work, and it would be nice. I would be in a really nice, loving state. And then a few years later, I went into this burnout state, and I realized, wow, I've got a lot of anger I had a lot of suppressed anger. And then I went through this journey. I came to this island, Kopangan, and I started like meditating on all the, but like on the real stuff, on the pain in my body and the anger and the fear and the contraction. And I realized, wow, there's really a lot of that. And that's where I started to move into like this more like somatic approach and realizing trauma and seeing that, hey, there's this trauma and it's stored in my body, and what I had been doing before hadn't released all of that. I hadn't released a lot of that, or most of that maybe, like I had just had these really nice experiences. I developed a lot of concentration, but I just had all this anger. It's hard to say because I think if people were seeing me all of that time, they wouldn't have noticed all this. But in my internal journey, this is what I was finding in myself. And then I started getting into like awareness of the feelings in the body, physical movement, trauma release practices, and then the polyvagal theory and like how the nervous system works. And then this journey of connecting to my body and to the earth. And then I realized, wow, it's actually a lot easier than the journey of meditation in a sense. Like I think when I was teaching meditation before, it was a struggle because I would teach people, they'd be coming home from their tough day at work, and I was like, okay, now focus. And everyone was in like what I now realize is like a fight or flight or anxious state or a dull state. And just going straight into meditation just wasn't as effective. But like actually if you get people to move and you do things to shift their vagus nerve and they start to feel safe and grounded, then they're naturally in a present state, and then they can be with their own feelings and actually release. And when they release, then this is a sustainable shift, and their personality changes from then on. And so, I changed a lot of the way that I teach. And here on this island, which is like a spiritual circus in a sense.
Accurate.
I mean, you got everything, and I came here as such a traditional Buddhist. I had my mentor who was a Buddhist monk, and I would have calls with him, and I'd be like, I need to connect with you so that you can ground me and anchor me from this circus that I'm in, And then over time, I just realized, I feel like I discovered the magic of this place, all the weird stuff and the weird magic, energy and intuition and psychic stuff, and all the things that we don't really talk about in Sri Lankan traditional conservative Buddhism. And I loved it, and I saw that there's things you can do with the body which make it so much more effective. And then this has changed my journey so much. And from this, I started to do little workshops, day classes, which turned into 3 days, and then people asked for long retreats, and then it became teacher trainings, and somehow just sort of fell into this life, and here I am. So.
Wow. Thank you for sharing. It looks good on you, that's for sure. And I met you in a very similar, same boat kind of situation. We're here in Kopangan, which is in Thailand. We met at a trauma awareness training. Probably a year and a half ago now, almost 2 years
almost
approaching.
2 years ago,
And, to give a bit of background, thank you so much for sharing so much information, so much insight, both like personally your own journey and where you've come. But to give some insight, there's a lot of terms there that might be a bit unknown to people that,
Please.
One of the big ones was at the beginning is dissociation.
Oh, yeah.
So although perhaps, many people don't talk about it, it is quite common amongst humans nowadays, So if you could give some insight into that term and perhaps what the antidote to dissociation would be, just to kind of get a better picture of this practice. I think it goes hand in hand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so the dissociation in my perception happens from two causes. fear and hopelessness. So it is a reflection of a particular state of the nervous system where the body understands that it is in such a dangerous situation that it's hopeless. There is no chance of getting out of it. Like the predator is like so close to you, has already attacked you, you're injured, so really there's nothing else you can do than play dead. And it's like a specific part of the nervous system. It's called the dorsal vagus branch of the nervous system. And this part gets activated. It's actually on your lower belly. When that gets activated, then everything shuts down. Your digestion shuts down, your sexual reproductive system shuts down. Many of your systems are just in like play dead state. And this is kind of what depression looks like in its strongest sense, but it's also what, in a subtler sense, what passionlessness is like. Like, I don't know, I kind of go every day to work and I come back and it's okay, but there's nothing really there. I feel empty. I don't know what I really want in life. I don't even know if I really have any wants so much. This is actually, like, for me, what I see it, and it's quite the fairly mainstream theory, the polyvagal theory, is that this is the freeze state of the nervous system, and this dullness can be changed. It's not that you don't have passion or aliveness or groundedness or a feeling of inner strength or curiosity or excitement. That is your natural state, or what's known as the regulated state of the nervous system, where what's called the parasympathetic branch of your nervous system is activated. It's because that's there, but because of various experiences which we most have in our childhood, our nervous system gets set into this dorsal state, and it blocks our innate aliveness and groundedness. And if we can just find that and let that go, this physiological state, then we'll naturally start to feel alive and passionate. And I've seen this with people like so many times, and so kind of dramatic, like where, like, a person like comes and says like, so many times people are like, I don't know what I want in life and feel hopeless. And then it's just like, where do you feel that thing you call hopeless? Oh yeah, it's like, if you take it deeper, they find, it's this thing in my belly, which is hopeless. Cool. Like, if you can bring awareness into that and let it go and relax into it, and this naturally releases. And then suddenly the person's like, oh, actually I feel kind of like laughing, and I feel alive, and I want to do things, and I'm excited. And it's really just that. So yeah, to get to what is dissociation is it's a state of the nervous system from the combination of fear and hopelessness, which actually sort of gets stored into our body memory from incidences in our past, often in our childhood.
Thank you. I've never heard it described in that fashion, and I really appreciate, because it really paints a clear picture into like an individual's experience of how they go into that state, right? Fear leading to hopelessness.
Yeah.
And, bringing it back to our nervous system, like, this is not to blame, right? Like, people, we're all trying our best. It's difficult to be a human and interpret everything that's going on, especially in childhood when we're emotionally young, and, our parents tried their best, etc. But I think moving into that state is quite a survival state, it sounds like, right? So it's almost unconscious. It's just that your system shuts down because it doesn't know how to protect you otherwise. It needs to protect you in that way, which is quite dysfunctional, and it's unsustainable in a long term. So we have no choice but to reduce our essence, our own fire, which brings people to like ambivalence, like you mentioned, really, I think, struggling to exist and see joy, and beauty in the world. And I think it also, there's so many additional layers to that. I mean, given the ecological crisis, given pain, war in the world, right? So there's individual strife, and then there's also a lot of difficulty on the outside. So we see how it happens, but it's so beautiful to have this discussion to kind of give the baton of power back to people?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is the thing. It's like we get so used to these states that we are not even aware that it is a kind of, it's an activation of a part of our nervous system which is not supposed to be our normal. It's a survival state, but we grow up with that, and then it becomes our concept of normal. So we just think, okay, I'm just not a very alive, curious, playful person. I'm not a very grounded person. I'm anxious. I have social anxiety. Or the other side of it, which is, we didn't talk about, that's dissociation, but the other side of is like the anxiety, the anger, the strong fear. And people can just know, oh, I'm an angry person. I'm an anxious person. And I feel it's a major shift for a person to realize that that's in your physical body, and that's something that can be released. And when you release it, you'll see something that you recognize as you. And like, as it's been described as like just like, oh, I'm myself again. But nobody knew that, but you knew it. Like, you knew that, like, when you're not afraid, when you're not anxious, you're actually this fun, lively, curious, passionate person. And it's accessible, it's practical.
It's simple, even.
It's simple, yeah.
Yes.
There's some really like well-used ways of getting back into that state.
Reestablishing safety.
The
and trust,
number one
right?
is safety. The number one is safety. Like, a lot of this, both of these dysregulated states of the nervous system, the fight or flight state and the fear state, come from feeling fear. Or feeling unsafe, essentially. It's the same thing.
Because we are animals at the end of the day, right? And these nervous systems are developed for us in the wild. I remember reading a phenomenal book by Robert Sapolsky, Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And so, you have the example of a zebra who is confronted perhaps with a lion in the wild, right?
Yeah.
They're just eating their grass, hanging out, doing whatever. Poof, a lion appears, right? And then their nervous system is activated. And if it weren't for that activation, they would be eaten, right? So it's a beautiful, beautiful mechanism that is here to protect us. But whenever we are living in a society, as humans, we're compressed into identities, thinking that we need to uphold certain images or stories, and we cling to these stories and we lose sight of what you're talking about, this back to myself, this sense of being. And so thank you, nervous system, but ultimately we have to acknowledge that it's not a long-term, it can't be going on overdrive, right? Like, if that zebra's fear was ignited in the wild, like a lion constantly chasing them, they would burn out. Their stress levels would increase, their cortisol, right?
Exactly.
They would burn out, just like you had mentioned in your process, right? In Laos, yes.
Yeah. So this is the thing. It's like it's a functional mechanism, but then it becomes functional to use it all the time, because now we have these nuclear families, and there's specific things that goes on with our culture where the child gets into this survival state, and there's no real outlet. There's not so much community. They're disconnected from the earth, and there's no way they can kind of shake it out like a zebra does.
Yes.
And there's no way they can even talk it out with a safe adult, because they've really only got their two parents, and usually the two parents, they try, but actually for some reason that's been triggered from the two parents. So then the child gets used to constantly being in that dysregulated state. And it's like their nervous system believes that they are now vulnerable. There's nothing they can do, because it's not like they can pick up and go to another house or something. They're a child. And so then we suddenly wake up one day and we're like, oh, I'm an adult. I'm 30. I have friends. I have resources. I have money. I have skills. I don't need to live with my parents. And even if I am living with my parents, I can engage with them in a different way. But somehow our body doesn't know that. And so even though we are actually safe we are not feeling safe. And there is this journey of helping our body to catch up with our new adult reality and to realize, hey, like actually I'm safe, I can engage with the world. When things feel not good, I can take action. This will make me feel more safe. And when we can do that, then people start to come back into their body, feel stronger, feel alive.
Thank you for sharing. And it really sounds like this has been a journey for you, right?
Yeah.
Like, especially the introduction of meditation earlier on in your life, seemingly positive, and then having this realization of still, it sounds like lack of safety or lack of joy, lack of true aliveness, right? And so what was that process like for you, discovering these somatic experiencing and like how to incorporate it into your own personal life and then with clients? And it also sounds like you have a beautiful global community online.
Yeah.
How are you sharing these practices? How are you empowering people to help themselves?
Oh, there's a couple of questions there. Well, for me, it was really beautiful, and I have to say it's difficult. Like it's like when you look back on something, it's like, oh yeah, I was in this dissociated bliss, but then I also felt happy then, you know. I felt really love, and like there would be very few people who knew me then who would say, like most people sort of have for years and years thought, oh, you're such a happy person. So, but personally for me, that experience was like, it's like happy and confident, or happy and like here and grounded in my body. Like it's not just like I can live this sort of a state of happiness and I'm suppressing that there is some fear, but I'm not really accessing it. It became more of like I'm happy and I'm able to move, I'm able to engage in the world, and it's kind of playful, I can dance. Yeah, there was something more like physical about it. Yeah, so that was my experience of it, and teaching that to people. I mean, that was a big change. The people that I used to teach when I was teaching meditation in Laos, I was a human rights activist in the daytime and a meditation teacher in the night. And I haven't, like, I mean, because when I come to Thailand, then I was working more with the people who are here. And then it was really like, hey guys, let's like get into the body. Let's move. Let's like do squats. Let's make noises. Let's move certain parts of our body to start feeling ourselves. And how is that now in the world is it's quite exciting. Like so the retreats that I've been doing, so like the last 6 years have been doing like retreats and teachings and classes in person in Koh Phangan. And last year, with the help of this beautiful filmmaker who sort of felt it in his passion that he wanted to bottle this, and so he and I spent a lot of time out in the forests bottling it and creating this online course so that it takes people in 3 weeks from this journey of like, how can you like feel safe in your body? What can you do to like shift your nervous system to get back into a regulated state? And also like, how can you change the way you engage in the world to help your inner child feel safe, to help your inner child feel that if there is something dangerous, something making me feel unsafe, I know that my adult is going to do something about it, is going to take me out of this, or is going to say something to that person so that I feel safe again. And once you do that, and then you start doing some grounding practices to really feel your body and feel like your own power, and then to start to access these qualities of what I call the unconditional states of like aliveness. And I call this an unconditional state because I feel that it's there for everyone. Underneath the fear and the hopelessness and the anxiety and the anger, there is like everyone has this natural aliveness. And you just let go of all the other stuff and you'll feel it. And so if we do certain practices to like bridge towards this, you start to kind of acclimatize towards it, to the state of love and the state of aliveness. And once you get to that, then what I like to teach people is how to be aware of your own feelings in daily life. Because the universe or life or your partner or your boss or that guy in the bus is your divine teacher. And if you have like stored trauma, like that guy in the bus is gonna show you that, you know? and then what do you do with it? You know, when that guy in the bus stresses you out, or your boss stresses you out, or your partner stresses you out, like if you can bring your awareness into that feeling, and if you've already done enough that you feel like safe enough and grounded in your body to bring your awareness in there, there is this magical thing that happens that I call it magical because every time I see someone newly experiencing it, they really have this like, wow, I didn't imagine that I could actually release this. But this is what happens. You release it, and then you feel a little happiness. And if you do this consistently, like after a few months, you'll find that your average level of happiness is higher. You're just a happier person because you kept on letting go. And it's practical, it's accessible, and it's just a matter of getting used to being with your feelings and relaxing into them. And so now we finally bottled it into this 3-week course, and we do it with a group. Or you can do it alone, but I really recommend people to do it with a group. And so we meet every week and you interact. We have this cool app where you can send GIFs to each other and have threads and discussions and really share. Community, yeah. It's a community app. It's like Facebook, but without all the Facebooky stuff.
And we'll leave that for another podcast.
Yeah. But it's where you can really genuinely be with your feelings and share about your feelings and be accepted and received as you are and be supported and inspired by others who are practicing. And then over these 3 weeks, start to integrate these practices into your normal daily life. So that by the end of it, you are like having that experience on the bus with the annoying guy and then breathing with it and relaxing into it and then letting go and then feeling better. And this online course then leads into, and so everyone who does this then gets free 2 months with the community. And the community is kind of everyone who's done these courses with me and retreats with me in the past. And we're just on the cusp of growing this and making it more exciting, where this becomes a way that people can really, really connect, like in an authentic, in the heart way, and feel loved and received and accepted as they are, and feel inspired to keep going deeper. So this is what I'm really excited about now, is like kind of reaching out to basically anyone who feels excited about what I just said, But particularly the people who've kind of a little bit on their journey, who've already seen a little bit of themselves and seen that there's something more than feeling anxious and angry and dull and want to connect. Because I feel like this connection with others is so fundamental. It's how we evolved as humans, is tribal. We need each other in order to feel motivated to actually do anything. And it's been maybe 10 years, like teaching in Laos, teaching here, where I teach people, they're like they have some experience, they're growing from it, then they go back to their own country, and I talk to them just on chat or something, like some months later, and they're like, yeah, it's tough here in the city and everyone is looking outside and the social media and the social pressure and I have to work and all of this. And then they kind of lose that sparkle. And I feel that when we bring people together, like all those people come together who are like inspired and want to connect. And when they come together, then they can all uplift each other. And yeah, so this is what I'm excited about, is bring everyone together, start everyone connecting with themselves, with their own bodies, be authentic, be uplifted, be inspired, and grow.
Nishan, this, my friend, is why you're here, right? Answering this beautiful question. And thank you. Thank you for taking the risk to delve into yourself, right? To unravel these layers, this fear, this hopelessness, this pain and bliss and beauty, but to be open to sitting with yourself, not only in stillness, but trying new things, right? Through movement, through sound, and connection with yourself and others, right? It's inspiring, and it's much needed. I think in the current status of the world, there is a lot of separation and isolation. And I mean, I agree with you. We are here to connect with ourselves, with other humans, but with other beings in general, right? Here we are, we're sitting by the fire. You may hear it crackling in the background. And yeah, connecting with the elements, connecting with animals, connecting with nature in general. And I think that the disconnection in the world is a representation of perhaps some of the destruction, right? And this ecological crisis that we had mentioned, it's how, if people are disconnected to themselves, will they ever be connected to a tree, to the woods, to the ocean? And so I really appreciate what you're doing, and it's so needed, and coming from like a challenging background with trauma and an activated nervous system, and going on my own journey and being here in Thailand for now over 3 years, and really learning to regulate my nervous system while I'm here, and using this polyvagal theory, which, if you're looking to know more, like Stephen Porges, is the founder of that. And it's been really profound in understanding our physiological system, and the sooner we can sit with the truth that is activation or dissociation, and really just try to create space in that and safety. And I think, having a coach, having a therapist, having a friend, someone that can see you, hear you, love you, hold you, unconditionally in your truth. And also knowing that truth is why we're here. That is beauty. That is magic. That is, a breeding ground for connection, right? And so I think, too, what I really appreciate about your course is the opportunity for community. Because this consistency, when we're faced with a dysfunctional society where, perhaps many people are faced with a 9-to-5, really just trudging along, going to work, getting things done, going grocery shopping, looking after the kids, just do, go. There's not a lot of opportunity to kind of turn that inward and see even genuinely how you're feeling. I resonated deeply with what you said about, on the outside, years ago, people would always say that, you are happy, you're kind, you're this, you're that. And it's not that you weren't any of those things, but looking at yourself through the lens that you are now, you can identify that there was opportunity for more safety and more groundedness and more presence,
Absolutely.
I absolutely resonate with that, with my own experience also, very bubbly people pleaser on the outside, and how much of that is image and how much of that is authentic, right? How much of that is a bit of a program of familiarity and repeating these stress cycles, right? So to really kind of land in what is, while being seen by people that you can trust, is a gift. Community, I really think is everything. And it's really beautiful too, because yes, it sounds like you can be in your community for a few months, and then they can also stay connected after that, right? There's we're in such a virtual world that people really can stay connected with the people that they resonate with, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that people sort of flow in and out of as it's whatever way that there's no commitment, you commit for that month, and even if there's activities, but you don't have to do the activities. So the idea, I feel, is like an actual community, you're there, you choose when you want to connect to each other. I value that you touched upon the earth. And you're talking about the trees and the fire that we have here. And I love that we're near a fire. Wow. By the way, is this too hot for you? Because I know I've just made it really high.
I'm acclimatized at this point.
Okay.
It's toasty, I will say, but it's quite nice. We're approaching a full moon here in Copenhagen.
Yeah.
You know, the sky is clear with lots of stars.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really great. I appreciate you asking.
Okay.
What is your relationship with the earth currently, would you say?
Well, okay, so as I mentioned, historically, from my childhood, my relationship with the earth was one of fear, was like my family wasn't really going outdoors or so on. I spent some of my life with another family, and they were very much in the jungles, and that really was important for me.
Mm-hmm.
But my immediate family was not. They were kind of more the city dweller. And that, it's not just that. I really grew up with this feeling of like my body is kind of something to be afraid of, something that can break, something that can get diseased. And I remember like being 20 and feeling like I've got this neck pain, I've got this back pain, I've got this knee problem. And, as I was saying before, like I need the special back thing, and I need the special pillow, and all of these like technology that we use. And now I just realize like all of this can be actually identified, for me at least, with the state of my nervous system. Because of this dissociation, then my muscles are not in an engaged state, in that tense integrity state. And so then because of that state, then I'm spraining things and I'm straining things, and this has been this journey of like seeing and letting go of my fear of my body and my fear of earth.
Mm-hmm.
And in a kind of Vedic point of view, the fear of the Shakti energy, the unpredictable changing force of the universe. And as I face this and I start letting go of my fears through this awareness practice I mentioned, then what I start to feel is the nourishment and the love of Mother Earth. And like right now, I feel it like there is this quality of nourishment like all the time. It's as if Earth is like trying to nourish us in the way that like it's just naturally, like water comes up from the ground into the tree, and minerals come up from the ground into the tree. The tree doesn't really need to do anything. It's not like pumping it up. It's just there, and it's open, and this naturally happens. And I feel the same. As the more that I just allow myself to be open to this, the more that I feel nourished by the earth. And when I feel like, you saw me earlier today, we had this whole incident and it brought up fear for me. And what helped me was that big rock that I just picked up and I put it to my heart. And when I put that rock to my heart and I bent my knees a little bit and I brought my awareness to this particular point kind of underneath my second big toe, where I connect to the earth, and then I felt that the earth was kind of just drawing this from me, this fear from my body, and then I started to feel this happiness from the rock. And I feel like these elements of nature have certain qualities that I feel when I connect to water and this flowing waterfall, the stream. There's this peacefulness, this flow, this playfulness, and I look at this fire and there's this aliveness to it, and this rock is so stable, and I can receive these qualities from connecting to the nature. And there's also this almost tangible love of the earth. For a long time I've been connecting to love in the ethereal sense, in the feeling of energy, and very recently, like some weeks ago, a few weeks ago, sitting by this same fire, I started to have this experience of like something like a tangible love of the earth. It's like almost as if the air is thicker. And it's love in the sense of like this experience of not being different to the air. Of just, oh yeah, it's like the same thick stuff as my body, as me.
Oneness.
Which is oneness, which is like the truest unconditional quality of love. Yeah, so that's how I feel about it.
It's a beautiful description. Thank you. I mean, what are we but energy anyway, right? And if that's the case, then energy can't be created or destroyed, you know? And it comes in different forms. And yes, we're in these human forms, sitting by a fire, having a conversation. And life and death, you know, similar with these trees beside us. They have their own cycle, right? And so whenever we can harness their still or wild or fiery energy, it's really, I think, helpful in my experience anyway, to ground in nature. You know, and I think too, like growing up in Canada, I was very fortunate to have nature, like many Canadians. You know, it's a huge country and not densely populated in any way. Yeah, so I think nature is a bridge to healing in many ways.
It's so, like, I mean, this is like what I would say if like nothing else makes sense, you know, the one really, I mean, there's so many easy practical things you can do. But one of them, actually, like, this is maybe not the easiest because some people can't go to the forest. Maybe you're deep in the city. But if you can, like, even if it takes you 3 hours to go to the forest for 2 hours and then 3 hours to come back, like, it's worth it. Because if you can be around the forest, especially if there's a moving body of water that you can just sit by, like that water, like even if you're not in the water, ideally you can even be in the water, it kind of like just pulls all that anxiety and dullness and depression out of your body. And like you could say that this is partially why like this is, it's what do you call it, lifestyle diseases or something, you know? It's like, you could also call it like just disconnected from the earth diseases,
Sure,
you know?
sure, from
Like,
source. I mean, if we are one and we're disconnected from ourselves, then if the earth is the same, of course we're disconnected from it too.
Yeah.
If I can offer a thought, because we keep talking about the elements, you know, and so I read a book by Carla McLaren. Do you know The Language of Emotions? Have you heard of this book?
No.
No. So something I want to highlight from it is she compared the elements to our human experience. So the air being intellect, fire being spirituality, water being emotions, and the earth being your body, right? So if we're looking at our experience from the lens of emotion, being in a body, intellect, and spirituality, just like the elements, it's so beautiful when they're in balance, yeah? And that's nature's way. You know, and what often happens in our current time, I think, in humanity is a whole lot of air, right? From the moment we come out into this world, we are praised for intellect. And my experience personally, emotion was not welcome. Spirituality, in fact, wasn't necessarily either, because I was handed a religion, right? And so also being in my body was not recognized or acknowledged. And I think this is same but different, but a common experience for most people. And so whenever those three elements aren't touched on in our human experience, and one is praised, that of intellect, then I think too that's a driving force for this disconnection, for this mental activity, for this anxiety, for fear, because we're rotating in cyclical patterns of thought. And once that becomes habitual and normalized, then it becomes unconscious and subconscious, right? And it just naturally becomes part of our life until we become an active participant again and bring awareness to what's actually happening. So I think, yeah, bringing these parts into balance and what you do in your work is really, I think, bring people back to their body, it sounds like. And yeah, there's many expressions of religion, but I think the deep-rooted purpose of religion is spiritual beings coming together in community, you know? And so through your course, for example, people are offered community in that, right? Offered community where they can show up authentically and have their own spiritual paths, and also see solidarity in the experience of being human. Because yes, my experience is different from yours, and it's different from everyone else's experience. There's no two the same, but ultimately there's much overlap. And whenever we can see that in other people and see other people's suffering and bliss, and it feels way more connecting, right?
Oh, it's so, you know, like I would say, it's mostly overlap, you know? Like really, like how many different emotions can you name, you know? There's really, it's fear, anger, sadness. Those are the negative ones.
Sure.
And something you can call happiness, and I guess that's a whole bunch of stuff, love and all of that. But like, if you look at fear, anger, sadness, like which one did you, like everyone who's listening, did any of you not experience fear, anger, or sadness? Like, no, like this is everyone, you know? Like,
let us know. Message us if
please,
there's any alternatives. If you got the secret to life, fill us in, okay? We're here trying everything, and this has seemed to be sticking, but we're open to suggestions always.
Yeah, really. Like, I mean, if someone shares about their fear, anger, or sadness, there's something that's gonna resonate for me. Because that's basically this standard range of human emotions. And when someone shares about that, like this helps me to be more accepting of my own fear, anger, and sadness.
Gives you permission.
Yeah.
To see it, to feel it, to lean into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and feel less alone.
Feel less alone, exactly. Exactly. I feel like these are two like major foundations for the path to happiness, really, is like being together with other people in an authentic way where you can really be yourself, and the earth.
Yes.
And just any connection with Mother Earth is nourishing to us.
Yes. And beings in general. I mean, for those who are watching, we have a little cat named Snow who's been...
Where is Snow?
Yeah, she's passed by a couple times, and that in itself too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, Earth, anything on planet Earth, basically, right?
Yeah, other animals is healing. She's healing for me. She's healing, and she's healing both by, you know, I feel really relaxed when I cuddle with her, and it feels nice. She sleeps on my bed sometimes. But also, she doesn't sleep on my bed sometimes.
Yeah,
and
girls got boundaries.
Girls got boundaries, you know. I can't like keep her. I don't lock her in, and this shows me a little piece of myself, because I'm like, oh, I want you to cuddle with me, and then she'll get up and go, and then I'll feel all my like abandonment pains,
Personal.
all my own trauma, and that's so good for me, because even though it's tiny, you know, like, and it's like, you know, I know this is not a big deal, but I can feel that in my body. Like,
And
there's
it's a practice of awareness.
Yeah, and if I can bring my awareness into that and relax into it, then I've now released like this thing that's been with me my whole life, maybe. And now I'm a little lighter just because my cat walked out of the bed.
You go, girl.
Yeah. So, like, I mean, she's a gift.
Yeah. Animals are gifts.
Yeah.
And they're so present, and they're on their own agenda, which is a beautiful lesson for me.
Yeah.
You know, for you, for most humans, right?
Yeah.
To witness an animal being their true selves, leaving when they want, doing what they want. And also, I think it creates a new definition, or a seen again definition. It's new again. You know, it's definitely not new. But I think something that we all need to be reminded of is that love is freedom, right? Yeah. You know, for Snow to live, this cat to live her best life, for you to live your best life, for me to live my best life, we're not living it for anyone else, right? So it's also then furthering, you know, this practice into creating boundaries, having compassion for ourselves, having compassion for others, learning to not take things personally, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's so interesting, like, I mean, I would say it's like to be able to be aware of what's really happening. Like when Snow gets up and walks out, like I can't not, like I can't turn off the fact that there is this little tinge of
Bottled up in a sound.
Yeah, bottled up in a sound. You guys know that sound, right?
Familiar.
And that, like, actually is a subtle version of, like, childhood trauma or abandonment pains, all of that, you know? And I could, like, okay, I'm just gonna, check my Facebook or whatever and not think about it. That's an option.
A common one.
A common one, yeah, very popular. But, like, not recommended.
Been there, done it.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
done it.
suggest.
Yeah.
0 star.
0 stars, yeah. Because it's still working on my body. And I can't turn it off. I can't pretend it's not there. What I can do is I can bring my awareness into the reality that it's there. But once I'm there, I don't need to dwell in it. So the practice I teach is feel, ground, love. So I feel the feeling for a bit, and then I connect to my physical reality. Like, hey, I'm feeling this sadness, but I'm also feeling the weight of my body on the bed, and I can feel my buttocks. And if I squeeze my thighs, I can feel that. And that's a feeling as much a validity as the little abandonment feeling. And when I realize that, like, suddenly my perspective opens. There's at least 2 feelings here now, So I'm now not so identified with that abandonment pain.
Engulfed in it.
Engulfed in it, yeah. Engulfed, that's a beautiful word, engulfed. I'm not overwhelmed and engulfed by that. And from there, because I've now connected to the ground, what I then do is I connect to the unconditional quality of love. And there's ways you can do that. The really easiest, in some sense less effective, but one really easy way, is just smile.
Sure.
Just like the most practical way, like if you just make yourself smile initially, it's like it feels like a fake smile. Cool, fake smile for a while. Or just remember a moment of love. Remember a moment that you received love, that you feel safe and happy, maybe in a place in nature or with somebody, and then smile with that and hold yourself. And then now I have another feeling in my range of feelings. Now there's this feeling of love, there's this feeling of the weight of my body, and there's this feeling of the abandonment. And when I open my awareness in this way, I'm not dissociating. I'm acknowledging the reality that there is this, but I'm also not identifying with it. And this magic combination of being aware, but not identifying or disconnecting from it, allows this magical release. And suddenly that contraction, which I identified as the feeling of abandonment, relaxes. And then I feel a little piece of joy. And then it's just gone. It's like that little piece, not like all of it, but a little stone of my hill of stones is now gone. And then I just do that every day, and the hill turns into a mound.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear you, and I resonate. Another way of putting it too is, that feeling comes up, that thought. If we pick it up and feed it, we will be engulfed by it, right? But if we choose to ground, like you mentioned, I mean, it creates other possibilities, right? And seeing that you can actually reward yourself with safety and love is incredible, right? And really, I think what presents perhaps more of a challenge is showing up day after day, kind of hour after hour. And, I like the analogy of, okay, so Snow walks out of your room. You feel that.
And you got the sound right.
Right? Really feeling it.
Yeah.
Okay. Witness that.
Yeah.
Witness that. I see you. And as you mentioned earlier, kind of a parent figure, I think even steps in at that moment, reparent, to let that be, but then come and really ground in your physical reality. Where are you? what can you access? Love, right? And so, yes, it's hard. It's hard to be aware, but I think just as much as if we can imagine the amount of times that we have picked up that thought of pain or trigger or fear or hopelessness and rotated it on repeat times thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of, like, how do you even put a number on that, right? So remembering that it will take practice, in the analogy of like planting a new garden, right? I don't know if you've heard this analogy, but looking at in childhood and adolescence, we observe reality around us. We don't have as much autonomy as when we, move out of our home. That garden is often planted by society, religion, our nuclear family, school, culture, media. And then you grew up as an adult and you look at your garden and you see a lot of weeds and things that you don't really identify with, right?
This?
Yeah, right? Who planted this? This is huge. So, that weed is very big and it wants to keep growing and it knows how to keep growing, right? Whereas a seed, all seeds want to do is live. And if they're given the proper environment, they will absolutely thrive, So I think like what I remind myself too in this process is that, okay, that response is charged and it's big, but it's only big because it's been repeated however many times in the past. And today is the day to start a new repetition. So planting that seed, showing up tomorrow and watering, following up the next day, watering, and knowing that, oops, a week went by and that seed is no longer with us, right? And showing compassion and forgiveness to those parts, right? Because that's another distraction in life. If we take the defeatist, I was doing so well, and then I fell off, like I'm back to, it's okay, right? Everything's okay, and we need to meet ourselves with love. And it's never too late to start over, and it's not even so much about starting over, because every bit of watering, every new seed that we plant is rewiring our system into safety and love.
I feel like, I feel like really having people around you who are in a similar intention and are doing whatever it is, like if you can join a weekly yoga class and ideally the same people each week, that's already going to be an anchor, you know? Like just having, it's really hard to like say I'm gonna, do even my practices for feeling safe, if you're the only one in your life who's doing that. Even like you'll have, and I've seen this for decades,
I bet some people before that have seen it for more decades.
Really, like just this experience of like, what I was meaning, by the way, is like when I guide people, like to who would like come when we're all together and they're practicing, but then when you're alone, like you don't do it, like even like there's this cliche of like after the retreat, like it's such a cliche. Someone comes out of the retreat, and they're like, wow, I feel so blissful, and but then they go back into their normal life, and then their work and their family, and after a while you stop practicing. And I feel that it's just being with people who are also practicing is like the big thing that will make sure that you practice. If there's no one there, or just as to start, like making an internal commitment can really help. Like, okay, I just heard this awesome podcast, and now I'm so inspired that I'm going to commit to doing 10 minutes of something every morning. And you know what that something is because you've thought about it already, right?
Get your daily practice on.
Yeah, you know what it is. I want to go jogging every morning. I want whatever it is. And when you just like decide to do it, like maybe you make a little ceremony around it, you tie a string around your hand, or you light a candle or whatever and say like, this means I'm going to do it. And that is already going to help. But if you can add to that to have people with you, like, your jogging partner, or your group that you meet every week, or some form of community, that's the biggest pillar that's going to make sure that you're still practicing 3 months from now, 1 year from now, and really growing from that. So yeah, that I really, really recommend anyone to do that. Yeah.
I resonate deeply. Yeah, same. I mean, I am eternally grateful for the community that I have across this globe, you know, and I put a lot of gratitude into each and every one of them, because it's hard. It's hard to show up for yourself on an individual basis. And, you know, it seems like there's just infinite love and gratitude for other beings sometimes, and it's really hard to turn that inward. But as much as I have love for my dear friends in this world, they also have love for me, and you can really feel that whenever you connect so deeply on these levels and you're on this journey together. And it's also connection breeds connection, right?
Yeah.
So the more we get into these circles, the more they will expand naturally.
Yeah.
And I think it will, be a beautiful outcome. It's already happening, you know, and it's incredible.
Yeah. If I could, it's just like when I was thinking about that, I was just sort of imagining, you know, the person who's listening to this podcast. Hello, wherever you
Thanks
are.
for listening.
Thank
Hello.
you for listening. Who's not in this beautiful island that we're in, sitting by a fire, as we are. And I'm just imagining someone sitting there, maybe in their car or their lounge room, and if I could offer something practical that you can do that you can do right now to start feeling a little bit safer in your body and start this journey towards feeling happier, feeling more relaxed and less anxious, less dull and more alive. Like a really simple thing is just get your 2 hands, put it on opposite shoulders, and then take a really deep breath and a really long exhale. If you can make a noise, it's even better. So I'm going to do it just so you hear the sound. I'm putting my hands on opposite shoulders, so I look like I'm giving myself a hug. I'm taking a deep breath. That is so pleasurable, so relaxing. I'm going to do it one more time.
I'm going to join you.
Yeah, let's do it. Deep inhale. If you want to join us now.
Please.
Yeah, take a deep inhale. And you can do that as many times as you like. And if you want, another thing you can do, with your hands there on our opposite shoulders, just like tap one of your shoulders and then tap the other shoulder, and then tap the first one, and then left, right. Yeah. And you can do this for a few minutes and just breathe big breaths. And if that feels good, just do it for a long time. And after you've done that, if you want to ground into your body, I can invite you to take your hands and place it on your thighs, and just grab your thighs, like squeeze them. Squeeze them like a loving way, like you're kind of squeezing your friend, like give him a little squeeze, a loving squeeze. And just squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. And if you like, explore around your thighs and buttocks. And just squeeze and relax. Squeeze and relax. And as you do that, see if you can feel it from inside your legs and buttocks. And if you like, you could even take your hands to your feet. And I know that's not a common thing to do, but it's so powerful if you can take your two hands onto one foot and just start massaging your foot. And just even look at your foot, which you may not have looked at in a long time. And just smile to your foot and massage it. Massage all around the foot, the toes, the heel, the ankle, top of the foot. Let's go to the other foot. You might find that there are some places that feel really good, and just give that place a little more love. And smile to your foot. And as you smile to your foot, I invite you to remember a time that you felt like smiling. Whatever it was, just some moment where you received love, where you had a happy experience. Just remember that happy moment and smile with that happy moment. And finally, I invite you to hold yourself in any way that you like. You could put your hands on opposite shoulders, you could hug your knees, you could put a hand on the belly and a hand on the chest. And just remember that moment, any moment that made you smile, even if it was when you were watching some television, or you looked at your cat, and she wasn't walking away from you. And just smile with that. And I invite you to say to yourself and to every cell in your body, may I be happy just as I am. This is something practical you can do. Just hold the opposite shoulders, breathe long exhales, massage your thighs, massage your feet. This can help you to start feeling a bit more safe and more grounded in your body. And the earth and human connection.
Thank you so much, Nishan. Wow. The moment I let out that sigh at the beginning, it's like a relax, like a landing into your body, away from contraction, away from outside of your body, and just directly in, and then to respond with so much love and care. I hope you guys are feeling as relaxed and well as I am. Wow. I mean, this seems like a great as place as any to kind of come to a close. Yeah. I know you've offered a lot to our listeners, and it's so beautiful to provide tools for a toolkit of life. So I will ask, if you could leave our listeners with a message, a thought, an idea, anything that you can let them know. I know you've already provided a lot, but if you could share one thing.
I will. I'm just going to feel into my heart and see what comes.
Yeah, take your time.
The way to feel more peaceful does not require you to be any different to who you currently are. You don't need to be stronger. You don't need to have more time. You don't need to be happier. You don't need to be smarter. You, as you currently are, have a series of powerful tools in your own body to help you let go of anxiety. This is fundamentally because the anxiety is a quality of your body, and your body creates it, and your body naturally can release it. I encourage you to find what that little thing that you already know could help you. You know it, what it is. You might think, I've always wanted to just have a better night's sleep. That one thing, just do it. Because even if it's not the perfect thing, when you do it, you will find the inspiration to do the next thing. So just do it. Just do it is actually the key message that I'm feeling to share here. It doesn't matter if it's what you might consider wrong. It doesn't matter if it's ineffective, and it doesn't matter if you don't do it as much as you want to do it. Just do it. Because everything you do is already a step closer towards the happiness and peace that you wish for. If you wish to go deeper together, I invite you to get onto my website, Kind Awareness. If you just type Kind Awareness into Google, you'll see it. There's a bunch of meditations there. You can do the online course, meet me. We can do work together. You can join our community. This is one way that we can all grow together and support each other. So finally, connect to one thing and just do it.
Nishan, thank you. Wise words. It's been an absolute pleasure to discuss this very important topic with you. Thank you for everything that you're doing. And thank you for being here with us all today.
Thank you, Sarah. This was nice. It was really nice.
That's it for today. Thank you for listening. I truly hope that today's conversation was valuable to you. To learn more about today's guests, including links and resources related to everything discussed today, visit the episode page at soulplaycollective.com. I'm so grateful you're here, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on the show. So don't be shy. Send in your comments and let us know how each episode is resonating with you. If you'd like to support the podcast, the easiest and most impactful thing you can do is to subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on YouTube, and leave a review and/or comment. Sharing the show or your favorite episodes with friends or on social media is fantastic and super appreciated. And finally, for podcast updates, please follow us on Instagram at soulplay.collective and at Soulplay Collective on Facebook and YouTube. Appreciate the love and support. See you back here soon.